Hi guys, so we're going to talk about the workplace harassment. My name is Kuma and I'm presenting with Mark, Kaylin, and Jessica. So we're going to talk about an article. The title of the article is Sexual Harassment Training Doesn't Work, but some things do. Traditional methods can backfire, but ideas like teaching bystanders to intervene and promoting more women have proved effective. The source is the New York Times website. The author is Claire Kane Miller, and the date of publication is December 11, 2017. About the author, Claire Kane Miller, she is a correspondent for The Times, where she writes about gender, family, and the fear of work. For the Upshot, a time site for analysis of policies and economics. She was also a part of a team that won the Pulitzer Prize in 2018 for public service for reporting on workplace sexual harassment issue. And she also joined the Times in 2008. So in this article, the author have like main points. So the five main points is that a good culture that empower bystanders and encourage respect as well as reporting instances of harassment is the best way to prevent or stop harassment in the workplace. The second one is company with more female in management role see fewer instances of harassment. The third one is modern training for workplace harassment must be more thorough and based on behavior rather than knowledge of harassment laws. The first one is effective training must be done frequently, should be conducted by a non-HR supervisor or external expert, and will benefit by including a white male as trainer. And the last one is the traditional way in which workplace harassment training is conducted is not helpful in changing behavior and can, in fact, cause more harm than good.
In this slide, the author expresses her arguments, saying that corporate training is usually traditional, usually to comply with requirements, and usually done through a PowerPoint or checking boxes in an employee handbook or some papers for employees to read on their own time. She also argues that training is only performed to avoid or help companies in harassment lawsuits. She actually provides evidence that two Supreme Court cases determined that for a company to avoid liability in a sexual harassment case, it only had to show that it had trained employees on its anti-harassment policies. She also talks about how training, even though it's very crucial and important on certain other areas, but for sexual harassment, it's not very sufficient. So for it to be sufficient, companies need to promote culture in which women are treated equally and with respect as all other employees. The author uses many supporting data to back up her argument, although she doesn't provide any numerical statistics in the article. She quotes many experts in the field and uses many studies. She also mentioned many studies conducted by either college professors or psychologists or experts in the field that have conducted studies that relate back to harassment. For example, she mentions a quote that has been done by a researcher from the University of Georgia, saying that training protects companies from lawsuits, however, it may backfire by reinforcing gender stereotypes. The author also includes hyperlinks to relevant sources and articles that you can just click on them and view those sources and go through them directly and easily. She also mentions briefly two Supreme Court cases that I talked about in the previous slide, that how training is only used to avoid liability rather than educating and informing employees. Some common themes between this article, topics that we discussed in class, and the textbook, that they all agree there's no quick solution to fix sexual harassment at the workplace. However, they all agree that more organizations are taking a different approach when it comes to dealing with it. They're all making sexual harassment training a priority for all employees at every level, mainly because when a company is sued for sexual harassment, it affects its reputation, They have to pay a lot of money for litigation, and also it affects employees' productivity levels. So it would be better for them to prevent it rather than dealing with it in the future. Also, there's an emerging theme between this article and the textbook. Although every organization deal with problems differently, however, they all prefer sexual harassment training to be specific, relevant, and relatable to their workplace and their employees. They also try to promote a positive environment where all employees feel respected by their managers and colleagues and empowered to speak up and report harassment whenever they see it or experience it.
This slide covers topics discussed in class that related to our article. So the first topic we had was the nature and function of communication. We talked a lot about communication throughout this class because it's a very crucial skill for managers to have, especially when dealing with employees and just people in general in the workplace. In the case of this article, communication was crucial for teaching employees about harassment, how to prevent it, identify it, and speak out about it. Next, we had gender diversity. We talked a lot about diversity in this class in more general terms, but in this article, it really emphasized creating a culture in which women are treated as equals, including promoting more women. Next, in class, we covered ethics. So this is moral behavior and the importance of making sure employees understand what behavior is expected of them. Next, we have organizational structure and planning. So this is making sure that training is very effective and thoroughly planned and organized. So this slide covers how our article differs from class topics. The article focuses on the bystander role in the work environment. The textbook covers a lot of the information that was mentioned in the article, which includes the effect of harassment on the work environment and overall productivity and ways to prevent harassment. However, it doesn't focus on bystander training and how to promote a harassment-free environment as directly as the article does. The article really tries to break away from traditional harassment training. The textbook also mentions other statistical information about other countries, like the percentage of women experiencing sexual harassment in the workplace in the UK, Australia, and China, where the article focuses only on sexual harassment in the United States. How our article can benefit our future careers. Since sexual harassment is so common in the workplace, it seems, it's really important for us to be prepared and appropriately trained for these circumstances. So the article offers the following suggestions that may potentially benefit us in our future careers. How to handle sexual harassment as well as other types of harassment, the types of training that would be most effective to help prevent sexual harassment, the appropriate and proportional consequences of such harassment, and what to do as a bystander.
To conclude, this article talks about 4 main points to avoid sexual harassment at the workplace in the future. The first one is to make sexual harassment training a high priority. So, sexual harassment training should be taken seriously, not just another item to be taken off the checklist for new employees and current employees. Second point is to focus on changing behaviors and promote a healthy and positive work environment. Sexual harassment awareness should focus on changing unacceptable behaviors and attitude, developing awareness, and mainly to teach how to deal with it in case it happens. The third point, and in my opinion the most important one, is to incorporate bystander intervention and civility training. This article mainly focuses about this point just because many companies and researchers, they focus on the victim and the harasser point of view. They don't usually incorporate bystander intervention or training at all, even though it is proven that bystanders usually provide more help and better reporting accuracy. The last point is to encourage employees to report harassment. Effective sexual harassment training should go over how to report harassment, especially that I read in other articles that 80% of the victims that experience sexual harassment usually don't report it. So by encouraging employees and educating them on how to report sexual harassment in case it happens to them, it can prevent many incidents in the future and help a lot of employees to not experience sexual harassment at the workplace.